Holy and merciful Father, God of Israel and our God, please bless this study and please cleanse my sins by the blood of Jesus and by the sanctifying work of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name, multiply this study to thy honor, praise, and glory. Amen. Hi everybody, this is Angelo Quinones and you reach Iron Ministries. Iron Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers. It comes straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. Pospai, Manishma, how's it going in modern Greek and modern Hebrew respectively. Yasas, by the way, hello, and all that good stuff. Okay. Kalimera, good morning. It's morning time over here in modern Greek. Boker Tov, actually in modern Hebrew. Well, we come to the last study this year, for this year, here in I Am Ministries. And, I have to do a lot of things. Before, I get to the Greek alphabet, I want to thank everybody out there for supporting this tiny ministry. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And we don't know how God is going to use this in the future, even now. And so this is my third channel. And I have to be away for a while until next year because I have to do a lot of stuff for the channel. I have to title things and tag things and thumbnail videos and do a lot of nice things for you in the future. Now, but let's get to this, okay? Now, we left off at Theta, and that's just a deal. Now, I'm going to try to incorporate some scriptures here in my last study. Today is the 30th of September. After today, there will be no more new studies, okay, that I will do to upload on YouTube. Whatever's on the phone, and I think there's about maybe 7 to 9 videos on the phone, I'm going to upload actually at an office near me, okay, on the 3rd of October. But after that, that's it, Okay, guys, so let's get to the Greek alphabet, and that's just the deal. So let me get there. But let me actually go through the other letters in the Greek alphabet. Okay, let me mention a few things that I mentioned before. Okay, alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet, right? And it means rising. Okay, we went through that. It's an important letter in Greek because of the title that the living God has. One of the titles anyway, Alpha and Omega, which is found 3 times in the Greek New Testament. Okay, it means rising, like I said before, a perfect letter to lead the word. Okay, be the first letter in the word anastasis, which means resurrection. Now, we as born again, we as BC T's, okay, born again Christian Trinitarians, okay, put evangelical in there also, BCTEs, actually believe in the bodily resurrection of Jesus, okay, and so that's just the deal, and that's why the church stood up against that stupid video that popped up on the scene, popped up like a toaster around 2007, talking about the so-called lost tomb of Christ. Well, there is no lost tomb of Christ with the bones of Jesus inside. You understand what I mean? So you can look at my video, how I refute, okay, that video, the so-called lost tomb of Christ. And right off the bat, I mean, no so-called criminal, because he was tried 3 times. Okay, he bore our iniquities on his body on a tree. Okay, xulan, and sulfur tree. And so the deal is that he was declared to be a criminal by Rome. He wasn't, but that's what happened. That's what happened. And no criminal actually was allowed to be buried with his family. Okay, so that's just a deal. And there's other things that refute that video. That's just old news, but we still have to be ready for another attack. Okay, by the wicked one, the wiles, and the devil. You understand what I'm saying? We have to be alert of that. So alpha makes 2 sounds, okay, either ha or ah. You see it in these words over here, arche, okay, which means rula or beginning, and harmatia, which means a sin. So you see the example there. And then we mentioned that this letter can lengthen into an eta, this word could be used to make a article plural, like ta, ta, or tau alpha. Okay, neuter plural. It could be the ending letter in a first declension word. Okay, first declension words or nouns. Okay, are nouns that the stem or the root of the noun, okay, ends in an alpha or eta. So this could be, this could actually also make something feminine, just like hey or a tau could do in Hebrew. Okay, so this could do a lot of nice things, and this is going to be put together with the other study. So I don't want to go through everything that alpha could do, but alpha is the first Greek letter of the alphabet, and it's pronounced either ha or ah. If it's a rough reading marker with it, it's ha. It's a soft reading marker, it's ah. And that's just the deal. So there's a lot of things that it can do, and the equivalent to that in Hebrew is the ah sound, pathach, or kametz. Those are vowel points in modern Hebrew. Both make the ah sound, like in the word father. In biblical Hebrew, one vowel stroke does that sound, and that's the kametz. Okay, even the O class in biblical Hebrew sort of has the same sound, But this is ah, like in father. Okay. All right. So we mentioned the beta, nowadays called vita, that it could reduplicate. Is the word is the first letter in the Greek word biblos, or for book. Okay. We get the word Bible out of that. It can reduplicate in the perfect tense. So you'll see two B's connected by a connecting vowel, epsilon. Okay. This is a connecting vowel, the most important letter in Greek, in my estimation. At least one of them anyway. So this can be a B or a V sound. Okay. This can make a B or a V sound in in modern Greek, but in biblical Greek it only makes a B sound, like in boy. Okay. And there is a B in Hebrew, bet, and the bet can make the sound in biblical Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, and in modern Hebrew, it will make the B and the V sound, like in modern Greek, the vita can. Okay, so I mean, this can be a B or a V sounding letter in modern Greek, but in biblical Greek, only a B sounding sound comes out of this letter. And this means basis or foundation. Okay, basis or foundation. And we saw gamma, it looks like an incomplete capital F, doesn't it? When it's capitalized, is the G in Greek. And this is like a stem of a plant. When the part of the plant shoots out a little bit. Well, this is that. A perfect letter to head up the word Genesis, for Genesis in Greek. Okay, Genesis. So this is going to be the first letter when it's capitalized for the book of Galatians. Okay, and also in the word Gamaliel, we saw that the word Gamaliel has this. The word Gabriel has this. We just see it all over the place. It's a very important letter. The word Gar. It has this, the word for became, agenita, has this. We said that when there's two G's, the first G turns into an N. That's a gamma nasal. So you don't say agelos, you say an with an N, angelos. Okay, gamma nasal. That's the rule there. This could be also reduplicated. This could reduplicate into another G. Again, when that happens, the epsilon is in the middle of those two G's or those two gammas, connecting the two. It's called consonantal reduplication. And we saw that, okay, in the word geganen in our last study, in verse 3, in verse 1, chapter 1, verse 3 of John's Gospel. See geganen there, has become. Okay, so this can be a Y or a G in modern Greek, but in biblical Greek it's strictly a G sounding letter. G. You see it also in Galilee. There is a G sounding letter in Hebrew, and that's the gimel. Gimel. And that means camel, by the way. Now we saw that this is the D in both biblical Greek and modern Greek, and this is found and recorded In David's name, which begins with the capital delta, it looks like a triangle, the capital D in Greek, or delta. So that's kind of easy to remember. Whenever you see a triangle-looking letter, okay, a perfectly drawn up triangle that has all the sides is a D. Okay, because there's another letter that looks like this a little bit, the capital lambda, and that's an L. So it has to be a complete triangle to be a D. You understand what I mean? Look at the word Dawid, found and recorded in Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Okay, Biblos, right? The book of the genealogy or the generation of Jesus Christ, Yesu Christu, in the genitive case, son of David, that's a genitive of relationship, okay? Son of Abraham, or Abraham, okay? So you see David here, and you see Jesus being a descendant of both Dawid and Abraham. So you see the capital D toward the beginning of the word, and the small d toward the end of the word. Okay, according to the most ancient manuscripts that we have, okay, everything was capitalized, okay, in Greek. They're called uncial letters. Okay, there are differences nowadays, particularly the sigma look like a C, like in the word car, and there's some other differences, but basically most of the letters that are found in Vaticanus and manuscripts like that are the same, with some exceptions. Dawid, that's the D in Greek. And then we saw epsilon. This is absolutely essential. Okay, epsilon. Epsilon it could be used as a connecting vowel. It makes the, now let me go back to D. So it makes a D sound like in the word, okay, David. And the equal equivalent to this, the equivalent to this, I should say rather, is Dalet, which is the D in Hebrew. Okay. Also, Dabar, actually, Bereshit Hayaha Dabar. In the beginning was the what in Hebrew, in the Hebrew New Testament, John 1:1. This D is the D of the D, the Hebrew D. Okay, it really is Aramaic script right there, but that's there recorded, and it's equal to this D. Okay, Dalet. The Dalet also can reduplicate before I get into the epsilon. It will be connected, those two D's, with this letter, okay, which is a connecting, which can be used as a connecting vowel. Okay, I just mentioned in my last study that just because something appears to be doubled, or whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean it's in the perfect tense. Okay, like me verbs, like the word diddle me. Actually, that there's two deltas there, but there's an iota in the middle. That's not the perfect tense. Actually, that's the present tense. Just be careful with things that seem to be reduplicated in the beginning of the word. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the perfect tense. You have to look at the other clues. So epsilon, okay, is critical to understand when you're learning the Greek alphabet. And what I'm doing in these studies is I'm sort of hopefully pushing, okay, Greek teachers to actually, okay, teach the alphabet in this way, so students won't get shocked with lofty constructions that will come up in the future. Okay, if you know this is a connecting vowel right off the bat, not just necessarily putting a word up there so people can see where this is at, okay, in the word, or how it sounds. That's nice and dandy, but just teach it the way it's going to appear, okay, in syntax, and then not a lot of people are going to get shocked and surprised and amazed by, different participial constructions and subjunctive constructions, and that things lengthen and things drop off and things are added and whatever the case may be. It's better to know that now off the bat. So I guess that's punctiliar. Epsilon is when it has a rough breathing marker, makes a e sound with an H, he, okay, like in the word hen. We saw that. I and the Father are one, okay, said Jesus in John chapter 10 around verse 30. Okay, in the Hebrew, actually, he said, I and the Av is the word for Father, are echad, one. Sounds like the Shema to me. Now, epsilon, I mean, so it makes a he sound or an e sound according to the breathing marker. You see it in the word egeneta. Okay, you see it in the word egeneta. Let me see if I could get there. Okay, very quickly in the word egeneta. I keep on saying that. Now I'm gonna add overlays to this, and so you're not gonna be seeing all the little, things. Now, if I could just get to, now this is John's Gospel, First John. If I could just get to my favorite, one of my favorite passages of Scripture. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So if I could just get there, it would be nice. Now, there's a diphthong over there, so I can't use that. Okay, it's not really obeying my commands. Okay. Now this is just a deal. So let me try to get there. Okay, guys. See if I can just poke the bear a little bit here. Let's see here. If I could go like this. Okay, but it just keeps on going to the side. But let me go like this and go all the way there. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'll have an overlay so you won't see all of the stuff, that just happened. And that's just a deal. So let's go to, and that's John's Gospel. Let's go to John's Gospel, chapter 1, okay, in verse 3, and see egeneta there. Okay, you understand? Okay. And so let me just push it down this way. And that's just the deal. Now you see egeneta right here after verse 3, basically. And the 3 is kind of hidden under the accidents, right? Oh, that's 2 actually, right there. Okay. So this verse 3 right there to the side. And so you see over here, panta di atu egeneta. So you see egeneta right here. And you see the epsilon there. So it makes an S sound. And you see the soft breathing marker looks like an open quote, doesn't it? Okay, and then you have the gamma, then the epsilon. Okay, so that makes an S sound when it's when a soft breathing marker appears over it. Okay, that's just the deal. So that's spelled out EGE. Okay, NETO. Okay, now I will add, except for one small thing, I'll add the scriptures in the future. Okay, so I don't have to go through all this like just like the turning around of the phone and all of this other stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So let's get back to the letters themselves. Okay, because it's just going to take a lot of time. So we saw that this could be used as an augment. Okay. In the aorist tense, it's like the ed in English, like kicked, but they put it in the beginning of a Greek word. Not all aorist tense has an augment like this. Okay. Sometimes the kappa can showcase the aorist tense. Sometimes the sigma can do that in me verbs. So the aorist tense is a simple completed action. For God so loved the world. Okay, and that's in the aorist tense, a completed action. This could be a connecting vowel, connecting, two, consonants together, connecting 2 consonants together, and the epsilon will be a connecting vowel there. A personal ending. Some verbs has personal endings. So what you do, you just add the personal ending to the connecting vowel, and then you have your word. Okay. And you see it in stesetai. You see the stem ste there, the eta lengthen the epsilon, I believe, there, and then you have your future transformative sigma, connected to tie by connecting vowel. So this could be a connecting vowel. That's what I'm just trying to say. Also, this could be part of a vocative construction. Instead of theos, you have the, even though ha theos can be vocative also. Okay. See Hebrews chapter 1 verse 8 and Hebrews chapter 10 verse 7 and maybe 10 other different verses of the New Testament. The can be part of a imperative construction like ide and idete. See, that's a command. Jesus is telling his disciples to see, something after the resurrection, see his body, if you will, or the wounds, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so epsilon is absolutely essential, and we spoke about that. I mean, this is critical. It's a critical letter to know in Greek. Let's go to zeta. Zeta, okay, is the sort of DZ sounding letter or Z sounding letter. And just check with your teacher there, you know. And so this is equal to the Zion in Hebrew, which makes a Z sound, okay? And so this is just a deal. So Z is found in words like Zion and things like that. So this is the Z letter. It looks like a Z or a DZ letter, if you will, a combination of two letters together, basically. And you have that more in Greek than in Hebrew. Okay, you have a letter that has like two letters, okay, pronounced in it in Hebrew, the Sade. It's like the TS, like in the word sports. It means earth, by the way. Okay, eretz. And but in Greek you have like around three letters that does this. Okay, the zeta. In modern Greek it's called zeta. Okay, so there's a different pronunciation for the name of the letter. And but you have the psi and the kasi, okay, sounding like two letters. Okay, so you have that more in Greek than in Hebrew. Okay, so this is zeta. Just put a quick D sound right in front of the Z sound, zeta. And again, in modern Greek, zeta. We saw that. We saw that this letter, eta, nowadays called eta in modern Greek, okay, is a critical letter also because it could lengthen, okay, two letters, epsilon and alpha. And it can be used to point out a subjunctive construction, just like the omega can. You see that in the third word, I believe in the third word or the second word, okay, second time that hupatasso appears in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 28, about and some of those are about Christ being subjected, okay, to the Father. Okay, it doesn't mean he's inferior to the Father, okay, because if he's not subject to the Father, then God won't be all in all. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is that's absolutely critical that he's subject, and since he became the man Christ Jesus, okay, kai ha lagos sarxagerita, he became the Son. He wasn't the Son originally. He became man. He added unto his self an additional nature, labon, taking the form of dulu, the marphane, actually in the accusative case construction, limiting what kind of form he took. And so the extent of the taking, if you will, the extent of the taking, right? That he's actually retaining that form now. So if he took that form and he still has it, well, he always had it, and that was the form that was resurrected, not his spirit that was preaching in Sheol, by the way, and wasn't annihilated and destroyed like the witnesses teach. But you can't believe the witnesses because the problem is they got everything wrong. And so somebody who tries to sell magic wheat and corn to some people, I mean, you can't trust somebody like that. You understand what I mean? So this is eta, and this could be used to form an article. Okay? Eta. Nowadays called eta. So this could be an article in Greek. Also, it can mean, almost in and of itself, it can mean maybe. It could be, letter could be used along with a iota, a subscript, I believe. Okay, and it means maybe, is because it's in a subjunctive mood. Maybe just this letter alone, with maybe an iota subscript underneath it, can mean something. Okay. It could also mean that one. You could use this for like a pronoun when you're using it like an article. Okay. Hey. And then that's just a deal. This could point out that a feminine word is coming up in a noun. Okay. Like hey and the word for Mary, Marias, whatever the case may be. Or Magdalene has this hey article, okay, in verse 1 of chapter 20, the resurrection chapter of Jesus found and recorded in the Gospel of John. It has hey right in front of it. Okay, W was, I believe, Special Force, the old woman, the something else, that's an inflectional particle. But this could point out a subjunctive, okay, and it does that in many passages of scriptures, including the one that I just gave you, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 28. Okay, so this can actually make a word feminine, like like arche. Okay, right over here. Archi, actually, in modern Greek. Okay, so the he is absolutely essential and critical to understand. It's one of the most important letters, okay, in Greek. Okay, the epsilon, we saw that the epsilon is vital, and then the eta is also vital, okay, to understand right off the bat. It can point so many things. It could be part of a first declension, okay, word. Remember that first declension nouns are nouns that end in alpha or eta. Okay, second declension nouns are nouns that end in omicron, nowadays called omicron. And third declension words are nouns that end, okay, the stem of it, the root of it ends, okay, with a consonant, okay, like blep and blepo. You understand what I'm saying? So eta is absolutely essential to understand. Nowadays called eta. Okay. All right. And we saw data. And that was the last letter that we saw. So let's get to it. Data is the th letter in Greek, like in the word the. Okay. This data letter, okay, is called theta in modern Greek. Okay, theta. This is called theta in biblical Greek, but theta in modern Greek. Okay. Now, this is the first letter of the word for God or a God. You have to look at the context. Okay. A God, what it has to do with a God, sort of a God, when it has to do with 2 Corinthians. Is that 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4? And okay, this is used for the God, okay, when it comes to logos, okay, found and recorded in John. You don't need the article to make theos definite there, okay. You see that in John 1:1c and John 20 verse 28, etc. Okay, you don't need the article to make it definite. It's a predicate adjective, and predicate adjectives don't need articles. It's one of 10 different ways that a Greek noun can be definite without the article. See the word arche. Okay, that doesn't have an article in the middle of it. Okay, in the middle of the preposition and the object of the preposition arche. Yet it's still translated in New World Translation in the beginning. Okay, that's just the deal. Now, eta, let me go back to eta because I didn't mention this. I mentioned it in my last study, but eta, okay, actually is part of the word. Okay, you see it a lot in perfect tense and in perfect tense construction. Okay, like in the word ain. Okay, you see that the word eta there in the word ain. Okay. You also see it, like I said before, in the word hey with an iota subscript, and that's a relative pronoun. And you see that. You see that word that means a witch, W-H-I-C-H. Okay, so that's just it right there. Now let's go to the data again. This in and of itself, I said in my last study, it means divine. Okay, in and of itself, it means divine. This letter. So it's a perfect letter to head up the word theos or theos. Theos found and recorded more than 1,300 times in the Greek New Testament, tagged by 2,316. Elohim, incidentally, in the strong system is tagged by 430. Okay, I wanted to show you this because this is part of the consonantal reduplication rule. This letter can reduplicate, okay, but it won't appear exactly the way it is. It's going to be a tau, epsilon, and theta. Let me show you where, because this has to do with the witnesses also. I also believe that you should teach the Greek according to battling the witnesses, because you're killing two birds with one stone. You're actually teaching. You understand what I'm saying? You see what I have over here. This is John 1:1, and that's it. I hope that doesn't freeze on me. Okay, so let me see here, guys. Okay, let me see what I get here. Okay, let me go to 1 John chapter. Okay, it should be there right off the bat, no? chapter delta is chapter 4. Let me go to verse 12. Because you're going to see the consonantal reduplication that has to do with theta there in the word. And the witnesses says that no one has seen God at any time at all. I mean, visually. Well, that's no one. That's wrong because, the Son, saw God. Okay, the Father. It is talking about the Father in verse 18 of chapter 1 of John's Gospel. It's actually the up and coming verse 12. Now check this out. Let me see if I'm at, this is verse 13 though, sorry about that, guys. Verse 12 is right here. It says theon, and by the way, that's a Northrus. So that's, no one has seen a God in any time. That's how you're going to have to translate it if the witnesses are being consistent. Okay? Oh, the context. Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about in John 1:1c. The context, okay? And also, predicate adjectives. Okay, one of the signs of a predicate adjective is this anarthrous versus attributive adjectives that has a article. It's not a straitjacket rule, but it's a rule. Now, verse 12, theon, theon oudes, God, capital G God, by the way, oudes, no one, it says over here, let me put this over here a little bit, see, because it's, I don't know if you can see it. It says over here, potate, at any time, potate, and this is the word, te theatai, te theatai. You see? Te theatai, has seen. No one has seen. It's in the perfect tense. Now, what does it mean that nobody has seen God at any time? Well, obviously, the angels, behold the face of my Father, said Christ, in Matthew chapter 18. So it can't mean them. Jesus saw God. He was with God. He was God. You understand what I'm saying? Co-equal, co-eternal, according to nature, not according to person, to the Father, who we now know as the Father. So it can't mean him. So, I mean, you have to understand that, verse 18 of chapter 1 is talking about perception of John. Talking about perception. Nobody has perceived God at any time. Exegesata actually is teaching that the revelation of the Father was, by Jesus was absolutely essential, for people to know him. So it's talking about much more than just physical eyesight. And I think that John chapter 9 and Matthew chapter 13 brings out beautifully that, for the most part, seeing has to do with spiritual perception. You understand what I'm saying? In seeing, they do not see. And in hearing, they do not hear. Matthew chapter 13. You understand what I'm saying? That's just a deal. So it says over here, te theatai. Let me see where it is again. Where is it? Potate, te theatai. See? Tau, epsilon, theta, epsilon with a cube marker, alpha, tau, alpha, iota. Or T-E-T-H-E-A-T-A-I. Now, the theta reduplicate into another theta, but they don't write it out like that because they don't like the sound. So it reduplicated into a tau. Now, in Hebrew, you also see consonantal reduplication, if you will, by looking at a little dot in the belly of a letter that can reduplicate. Sometimes a little dot, which is called a dogish, you have the doubling dogish and the hardening dogish, a dagger in the middle of the belly of the letter, doing two things in Hebrew. I mean, it could double a letter, like in the word for heavens, hashamayim, or you have a doubling dogish there in the middle of sheen, and you see it also in the mem and the noon, doubling the m and n in the word that means man has become like one of us. Of us is mi menu, proving more than one person of the for the Trinity. That's in the Trinity. Is proving that at least two. When you get up to chapter 18, you see three, shalosheh, and then you have your complete picture of the Trinity that He is three. The substance is of one. The persons are three. That's where you get the Trinity, triunity. And don't tell me, oh, well, it's not in the Bible. Trinity is not in the Bible, yeah, but trimester is not in the Bible. And my wife experienced uh, what is it? 3 trimesters, is it? Right? Okay, 9 months. I better know. Sean was just born 3 months ago, and she went through the first trimester, a set of 3 months. Okay, a months 1 to 3, and then the second trimester is months 4 to 6, and then the third trimester is months 7 to 9. Okay, trimester is not in the Bible. Okay, a set of months, right, in pregnancy. Yeah, people got pregnant all over the place in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. Talk to the witnesses about trimester. Okay, that's not in the Bible. But then were people pregnant in the Bible, and don't you know it? I mean, they're so cold. I wonder if they become pregnant in the tower. I'm just saying, no Valentine's Day, no birthdays, no Mother's Day. I don't know how anybody get pregnant in the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society. I just don't know. I just don't know. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know. There's so not romantic. Let's get back to this, verse 12. Okay, so it says that's just the deal. Te theatai. Has seen, and that's a not only a glance at God. That's a behold. The NASB, a physical copy of the NASB, translates that correctly, and behold. Okay, that's a strong look at God. You understand what I'm saying? That's just a deal. And that's just a deal all across the board. Now let's get back to our study, though. Okay, so the theta will reduplicate, but you won't see the same form. You won't see the same letter for the reduplication. It will duplicate to another theta, but what's going to be on the page is a tau. Okay? So let me see where I'm. What's this here, guys? See, that's why I like to put the overlays better, because now I'm stuck. I don't know where let me look at the pictures here. Okay, and maybe I'll see the letters like that. And then that's just the deal. Let's see there. All right. Now, let's continue to talk about the theta, because this is absolutely essential to understand. You understand what I'm saying? That's Omicron. Okay, all right. That's just it. Okay. Theta. Well, this could be part, and I didn't say this in my last study. This could be part of a passive construction. Okay? So this could be an ending for the passive voice, along with another letter. Okay, like eta, for example. You understand what I mean? So this is absolutely essential to know your personal endings according to the passive use. So this letter, I mean, it's just it's a really good letter to know, and it's a TH letter. There is no TH letter in Hebrew, no, not at all, but this is the TH sounding letter in Greek, okay? Theta, in and of itself, it means divine. Now you have a very important letter that could do a lot of things. So this is up there with eta and epsilon as one of as a very important letter. I call it, instead of VIP, VIL. Okay, very important letter. You understand what I'm saying? So this is VIL letter in Greek, very important letter. And when it's capitalized, okay, you'll see it around 917 times in the word Jesus, Jesus, in Greek, and its many forms. Jesus, Yesu, Yesu, and Yesun. You understand what I mean? So you're gonna see it there. Now, you're gonna see it, okay, as a case ending in the singular for the dative case. Okay? In the dative case. It'll tuck right underneath, okay, a letter like omega, eta, alpha. This could be written underneath a letter as well. 3 different kinds of letters. Okay, 3 vowels. Alpha, eta, and omega. Okay, like in to, theo, you see that the article, okay, has this little, the little iota underneath the second letter there, omega, pointing out the dative case. And I already mentioned that theo has an I underneath the omega in theo, because if you don't change the Omicron into an Omega and write the iota after that, you're gonna think that's a nominative plural. So I think that's what happened with the all. They changed the Omicron to an Omega, ingeniously so, and then you put the iota subscript underneath the Omega, avoiding the misunderstanding. You understand what I'm saying? Also, you find this in the middle of the present tense in the form of didomi, okay, in the middle of that, and that's in the present tense of that me verb. You're seeing this making articles plural, like hoi, okay. That's a nominative plural article. You're seeing it can make nouns, and it could put a noun into the plural, okay. It could change a singular noun into a plural, okay. Like theoi, from theos to theoi. You just write out theta, epsilon, omicron, and put an iota right after that, and you're changing, okay, the number, and you're changing the meaning actually also in that situation. So this iota letter is absolutely essential. Okay, it could be like I said before, underneath an eta, and then I believe there's a rough reading marker over the eta, and it could mean, okay, all right, maybe. Okay, so this could be used for a lot of neat things in Greek. It could be part of two letters, okay, that showcases an infinitive word. Alpha and iota together, and infinitive verbs is a really great sign of the infinitive, a verbal noun. It's also in the Greek word kai, which is important in Greek. Anarche ein ha lagos, kai ha lagos, ein prastante an kai theas ein ha lagos. So it's in the word kai, okay, not kago but kai, okay, meaning and, also, even. I mean, yet, both. I mean, it has a lot of meanings. The Greek word kai, that conjunction, that copulative connective. So iota, I mean, together with a lot of other things, can point out a lot of neat stuff in Greek. Iota, it makes an e sound or an I sound, just like the dot that's found under a letter in Hebrew that's an I class, because that's what it is. A dot underneath a Hebrew consonant is an I class, like in the word Elohim. Okay? So the I in Hebrew is just a dot underneath a consonant, hidek, and then an I is this thing in modern and biblical Greek. Okay, now let's go to kappa. Well, this can reduplicate, and you see words, very important words like hina, which could be a clue to a subjunctive. Okay, and actually, when it has a rough breathing marker, it'll sound like this: he, okay, with an H sound. Okay, and when it doesn't have a breathing marker, it'll be it, just it, without any aspiration. Okay. Also, all of these vowels can be part of diphthongs. Iota can be part of a diphthong with alpha and epsilon and omicron. Okay. Also, eta. Let's see over here. Epsilon can be part of a diphthong, like in the word, okay, haste, or in the words haste, which means one, or ace, which means into, or whatever the case may be. So this could be part of a diphthong is a combination of two vowels blending together, making one sound. Okay, so you see that in the English word eight, the ei together, make one sound, and also the eu, like in the word Ewing, in the name like Patrick Ewing, they're making one sound, the e and the u in English, Patrick Ewing. You see. Also, the alpha can be part of a diphthong. There's about 7 or 8 diphthongs in Greek, and the alpha could be a part of a diphthong also. See the Greek word chi. Okay? So that's important to know. So let's get to kappa. You understand what I'm saying? Kappa is a K sounding letter in Greek. Okay, k, like in the Greek word chi. Okay? Or in the Greek word kurios. In the imperial sense, it means Lord, okay, with a capital L, or all caps, okay. It could reduplicate, and again, you'll use to show the perfect tense using consonantal reduplication. You'll see the epsilon, okay, right in the middle, okay, of that of the reduplication, the epsilon. You'll see it in the perfect tense, okay. So kappa can reduplicate, and it is also one of these important letters because it could show the perfect tense. Okay, when you see kappa and alpha, or kappa and epsilon, or just a kappa, you're probably looking at the perfect tense. But again, that's not a straitjacketed rule, because sometimes the sigma can point out the perfect tense, like in a me verb. Okay, so kappa and sigma are very, very important in the forming of the aorist tense, but also it could form the perfect tense. So you just have to look at it and know the rules. All right, so this is the K. Now in Hebrew, you got a Q and you got a K also. You don't have a C, but the Kof, is the Q letter, like Quinones. They'll use the Kof, and then there's a K letter, Kof. So you got the Kof and the Kof letters being a K sound, and the Kof actually can be a Ch sound also. Okay, so that's just the deal. So this is the K letter in Greek. All right, so this is the lambda, and this is the L in Greek. Okay, you have an equal to this, or this is equal to that. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? In modern and biblical Hebrew, the lamed is the L in Hebrew. Okay, and so that's you see it in Elohim, you see it in El and stuff like that, But getting back to the Greek letter here, the lambda, is the L, like in the word, Lego. Lego, which means I say. Okay, Lego. Or you see it in the Gospel Katalukan. That'll be the lambda there. The capital version of this will be the L in Luke's Gospel. So you have to know this to actually find the Gospel of Luke. If you're looking at, if you want to find that book, this is going to be there. Okay. This can also reduplicate, and again, the epsilon or the E will be in the middle of the reduplication. Okay, it's a straight off reduplication. Okay. By the way, getting back to kappa, talking about consonantal reduplication, I believe that the kappa is used to actually reduplicate, will be used in the consonantal reduplication process where it has to do with chi. Okay, chi, that guttural letter in the word arche. You see the chi there, but in the perfect tense, you'll see the chi being reduplicated to another chi, but on the page you'll see kappa. So you'll see kappa, epsilon, and chi, not chi, epsilon, chi. Okay? So remember that this letter can reduplicate, and when you see the epsilon in the middle, you're definitely looking at the perfect tense. Okay? That's a dead giveaway. A consonant being reduplicated to another consonant connected by the E or the epsilon, that's a dead giveaway of the perfect tense. Kappa, okay? That's just the deal. That's the rule of consonantal reduplication, that chi will reduplicate into kappa, and so that's just the deal. Phi will reduplicate into P, I believe, connected by the same connecting vowel epsilon. And so that's just it. So getting back to lambda, okay, this is the L. It looks like the alpha, doesn't it? A little bit though. Look at that. It has no line in the middle, but alpha looks like that. The capital alpha looks a lot like that. You understand? But it has a line in the middle. So if you're looking at if you're looking at something that looks like an incomplete capital A, you're looking at the L. an incomplete letter that looks like an incomplete capital A. Incomplete, you understand? It's the L in Greek. That's very important because if you want to read, John 1:1 and chi no logos que o logos in prostonte or get the os no logos. I mean, you're going to see the lambda, okay, several times in that verse, okay. So that's just the thing. You're going to see. First of all, you're going to see around 50 Greek letters, some the same, some different. You're going to see 17 Greek words, and so that's. I mean, you're going to see 5 words in verse in part alpha, 7 words in part beta, 5 words in part gamma. So I mean, the lambda is absolutely essential. Okay, that's just the deal. This is the L in Greek. Okay, it looks like an upside down Y when it's not capitalized, but you'll get used to it. Believe me. So anything that looks like an upside down Y is an L in Greek. Okay, or anything that looks like an incomplete capital A is an L in Greek. There can't be any other scenario. Okay, this is equal to the lamed. Okay, like I said before, in biblical Hebrew and modern Hebrew. Well, let's get to the M, and this is kind of easy when it's capitalized because it looks like our M, capital M, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? This is an essential letter because it could be part of the spelling of first-person personal pronouns, like mu, moi, me. I mean, so this is absolutely essential, okay, to understand those constructions, okay? It can also reduplicate. I have, let me put some juice on the phone because I'm running out of power. And then if I get to the end of the power, the study will be completely annihilated, okay? We all know there's no annihilation in the Bible. The soul goes on to hellfire and the torture if you're not saved, or a bliss forever with the Son of God. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? If you're saved. Okay? Just read verse 42, around verse 42, chapter 13 of Matthew, to see the bad end of the deal, and read, okay, the good end of the deal in John chapter 5, verse 24. And by the way, in verse 28, there's no memorial tombs there. It's just the word for tombs, okay? See the New World Translation translating the word for tombs, you understand what I'm saying, with no memorial in it in their translation, okay, in John chapter 20, verse 1. I caught them at the scene of the crime. Now, well, this looks like a U, not an M, says somebody, okay, when it's small. What do I do with that? Well, pretend that's the M in the New York Mets uniform when they're at home. Okay, that's all you got to do. Just think of it as a sort of M looking letter, even if it's small. Okay, just force yourself because of the end of the line toward the bottom, left bottom. It's making it look like an M anyway. So force yourself to say this is not a U. Okay. There is a M in Hebrew. You got 2 versions of it, mem and then mem sofit. So you got 2 styles of the M in Hebrew, and you have that in Greek also. You have a letter that's only used for the final letter in a word, sigma. It means something special, by the way. We'll get to that meaning. That's perfect meaning for the future tense. Now, so you have 2 styles of the M in Hebrew. Like in the word Moshe, you have sort of a regular style of M. It's called mem. But then you have, like in the word susim, horses, cherubim, that angel class in the plural, seraphim, the angels of fire in the plural. Okay, found and recorded in chapter 6, around verse 3 of Isaiah and other places. And panim, faces or persons. It has that final M, if you will, final sort of different style of M. Okay? And so that's just it. So there's an M in Hebrew and it's called mem, M-E-M. Okay? It looks like a a half a M, if you will. You know, it's like the M&M bag, and you have a sort of a half of that. You know, like the M&M plain or peanuts or whatever the case may be. And so whatever it is, I mean, you know, M&M boys, you know, Yankees. This is the M in Greek, found in Mary's name. Incidentally, she's only found and recorded, okay, the name, okay, and it's not even 27 times for her. It means somebody else also. Has to do with somebody else. It's only found 27 times. Jesus, on the other hand, okay, means or is found 917 times in the Greek New Testament. Okay, and if you say, yeah, but it says she and her and all that other stuff for Mary, well, how about Jesus? Then the number even goes up for him. You know what I'm saying? He's primary. He's the king. Mary, that word Mary for Mary doesn't appear with Basilisa, which means queen, anywhere in the Bible, anywhere. And you see the word for queen, okay, in around verse 42 or something like that in chapter 12 of Matthew, queen of the south. Where does it appear for Mary being the queen of whatever? No, she wasn't a queen. Okay, you understand what I mean? That's just the deal. Now, this is the M in Greek. Like I said, it can be reduplicated, connected by a connecting vowel, epsilon. Let's go to the N in Greek. And when it's capitalized, it looks like our N, okay? Like Nilda, like my mother's name, Nilda. So like, Nicodemus has this letter for the first letter in his name. He came to Jesus by night. That's the genitive of time. You understand what I mean? When it's small, unfortunately, looks like our English V, like in victory, but there is no V in biblical Greek. In modern Greek, there is a V, but that's not this. That's ta ta tan 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 tan. That's Claudius. It's actually this letter that makes a V sound, that can make a V sound and a B sound in modern Greek. Okay? Okay, so if you're seeing something that looks like a V in Greek, just avoid it like the plague itself. That pronunciation of like victory is not going to be a V. If you're looking at something that looks like a V in Greek, do not pronounce it like a V. Okay? There is no such letter that looks like a V that's a V. Okay? So just pronounce it N like in Nilda. If you're looking at a small V-looking letter in Greek, just pronounce it N like in Nilda. Okay? That's just it. And hopefully I can have an overlay of a picture of my mother in the future of the study, and I will put it probably right now. Okay? Hopefully some of you can see that in the future. So that's just the deal. So this is the N letter, like in the word Nicodemus, Nazareth, and that's just the deal. The equal to this in Hebrew is Nun. The N in Hebrew is called Nun, like good afternoon. Sometimes it's spelled out N-U-N or N-O-O-N, like that, you know, in Hebrew books and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? This can drop off sometimes, like in the word Estin. The word is, Estin. And so this can drop off, okay? It's called new movable, okay? It's not really important, but it's just really to pronounce the word with an upcoming word, you know. So this can drop off, just like a vowel can drop off in a preposition, like meta, kata, hupa, like that. And so all of those letters can drop off of their respective prepositions, prepositional constructions. Okay, so letters can drop off. The delta can drop off. I didn't mention that. Like in the word baptizo. Okay, so that can drop off. And it did. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So so the new can drop off, like or like in the word Eskenosin. It could be Eskenosin, that could drop off. And the word for no, K-N-O-W. Genosko sin, actually, genosko sin. That's a subjunctive. Genosko sin se. I like the new better, and not genosko sin, because the thing is that it just rolls better with the se coming up. That first person personal pronoun, or no, the second person personal pronoun you se. That they might know you. Genosko sin se. I like the sin se. Genosko sin se, not the genosko se. Genosko se. I like it better with that. You see? It just sounds better. It just, you can pronounce it better. You can just read it better. Not only can you can read things better, or you can pronounce it better. It just flows better. Modern Greek is better for John 1:1. Energy no logos ke o logos in prostonte on ke te osino logos. End quote. Praise God. By the way, he gets the glory, not me. Energy and halagas kai halagas in prostante on kai te as in halagas. It just has too many A's, A's, and I's. That's why they dropped all of those sounds off in modern Greek. They don't like the I sound, the A sound, and let me see, I, A, and ah, among other things, you know. So, and even modern Hebrew, like I said in my last study, dropped off certain of those sounds. Okay, they dropped off the A sound, the sede vowel points doesn't make that anymore. It makes the S sound like the segol does. That E class, like in the word gets. Okay, so the E classes in biblical, in biblical Hebrew, there's two distinct E classes. One sounds like A, one sounds like E. But in modern Hebrew, okay, it just makes an S sound all the way. So so that's just the deal. But this letter can drop off, in certain words, and can be added, and things like that. And kalinikta, meaning good night. Okay, so nekron, very important word, nekron. It means dead ones. Jesus was raised from the dead ones. Okay, in English, it sounds like it's in the singular. He was raised from the dead, but what does dead mean? He was raised from the dead ones. He was raised from Sheol. He was raised and saw no corruption. Okay, he was preaching in Sheol, in Cardia, the heart of the earth. Okay, I believe that the kappa is the spelling in the word Cardia, right? Cardia, which means heart. And in the heart of Jesus went to the heart of the earth. That's found and recorded in verse 40 of chapter 12 of Matthew. Okay, he went to the lower regions of the earth. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? And let captivity high. And that's found and recorded in Ephesians chapter 4, around verse 8 or so. Okay, he went to the lower parts of the earth. He went to the center of the earth to preach. Verse 19 of chapter 3 of 1 Peter. Okay, his soul was very much alive. This idea that his soul was destroyed is a lie of the tower. Okay, he was preaching 3 days and 3 nights, okay, in Sheol. He said that his soul, you will not allow your Holy One to see shachat, corruption, or vethara in the Greek Septuagint, corruption. You understand what I'm saying? Verse 10, chapter 16 of, Psalm 16, verse 10. He saw no shachat or vethara, corruption. Okay, but his soul didn't die. His soul, okay, wasn't even abandoned in Sheol. You will not leave or abandon my soul in Sheol. Okay? So that's just it. What died was the body of Jesus. That is what died. Okay? And it was the same body that was raised from the dead, but it didn't depend on blood to keep it alive anymore, or whatever the case may be. It was still functioning as it did before the crucifixion and before the resurrection. And it was the same body, but it was a glorious body in a sense that it was an indestructible body, but yet the same body. Okay? That's just the deal. And in our situation, the mortal shall put on immortality. And the corruption shall put on incorruption in our case. Okay, Kadadia. So he went to the heart of the earth. Okay, so that's just the deal. Lambda. Okay, so This is the N sounding letter in Greek, in both biblical Greek and in modern Greek. Okay? And so that's just it. All right. Let's go to Kasi. Now, I have to say something, okay? Angelo, you made a mistake. And when I saw this the other day, I said, oh, man, I put a video on YouTube and there's a mistake up there. This is not a mistake, the X and the I. Actually, I copied the names of these letters from Emmanuel Grammar of the Greek New Testament by Manti and Dana, and they had it like this. This is transliterated into a X, okay? This is Kasi. But this letter, okay, in biblical Greek has to do with K and S colliding together, becoming this. So you see it in the Greek word sarx, okay? You see it, the lexical form is sarx. And I believe that the root is sark. And so well, they added an S for the nominative, right? And why write out K and S if you could just put Kasi there? So that's the genius of this letter, that it kills two birds with one stone. It could be a KS at the same time. Thus, you can use this for the future tense. Okay, the sigma, you're actually using it, but if it has a kappa with it, okay, before it, well, you just write Kasi for to put it in the future, the word. It's just like Pasi, okay, you got blep, and then you put a sigma after it. And so those two letters are there, but why write it like that, a P and an S? Just write Pasi. There's already a PS letter in Greek. So some letters can kill two birds with one stone. Okay? So this is a K and S letter, so why write K, kappa, and sigma? Just write this, and you're killing two birds with one stone. Okay? So this is the KS letter. Just say Ksi. Just a quick K. Okay? Just say Ksi. Really quick. Ksi. KS. Okay? But then, S is not really C though, so it's kind of, it's kind of tricky. So why didn't they just, teach it like a K and a C, like in the word car? Because the S doesn't make a C sound, like C, the name of the S is not. It's I guess the sound is X, but it doesn't. It's not C. But then the writing of it is it would be like KSI, or over here XI, right? If you're doing it in a literal way, it'll be like KSI. So I guess in that situation, it is Kasi, right? Kasi, you're sounding off all the letters. But this was tricky. I haven't looked at that manual in a very long time. And so I said, oh man, I made a mistake on calling this chi, you see? And I didn't. I mean, I'm looking at the X, and for some reason or another, I was just thinking of chi. Oh man, I said that this is chi, and this is not chi. But when I looked at it, oh, no, that's an X and an I. So I didn't make a mistake. I don't have to put an overlay in the future. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? This is actually the Kasi. And I already mentioned in Hebrew, there is a letter that has a combination of two letters, the Sade. And you see it in the word Eretz, which means of. Okay, the last, actually in Bereshit Aleph Aleph, or Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Okay? So this is a KS letter. And when it's capitalized, you're going to see it in the word praxis, which means acts. And it's found and recorded in the title for the Acts of the Apostles. So this is the first letter in the title of that book, Praxis Apostolon, the left-hand side version of it, the capital letter, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the Kasi. So it's in the Greek word, and I see it right over here, exekesata. Okay? Actually, I'm sorry about that. What am I have all this stuff on? When I put an overlay, then that'll be gone. The stuff that was on the bottom, Han, is that you, Han? Let me just open up the door. She doesn't have the key. Wait a minute, guys. Coming, Han. Just wait for a second. Coming. I'm doing a Bible study, my love, the last one for this year. Okay, Han, do you have a baby? I want you to doesn't cry. Bible study, my love. Yeah, I'm doing the Bible. It's the last one for this year. This is the last chance I have today. And my son, I love my son, but he cries too much. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I lost everything over here. Wait for a second. I lost everything. Sorry about that, guys. There'll be an overlay in the future. And so, overlay in the future, and I guess that's the future at tense. I will, okay, put, okay. I will put, so the word put will be in the future tense. Now, why is this like this? I don't understand. Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. You know. Can you close that door, hon, please? Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. Really apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the window over there. It's not even open. My goodness gracious. So this is kasi, the KS letter in Greek, and so there's nothing equal to it in Hebrew. The K and I mean, I guess if you put the K letter and then the sad and scene or something like that, and I don't know. Okay, this is KS in Greek. Okay, exegesato is a very important word there in verse 18 of chapter 1 in John's Gospel, that he exegeted the Father. He explained the Father. He made the Father, God the Father, known. He declared him. Him is not there, but, it's talking about the Father there. Kainos, by the way, is really doing the job there that it's meant to do. Is actually refers to the remotest antecedent, because then you're gonna have the Father exegeting the Father, and you can point that out and compare it with hutos in verse 2 of John 1, and then hutos in verse 20 of 1 John chapter 5 verse 20, and I think that the true God, that's describing Christ in verse 20 of chapter 5. You already have one describing the Father. Well, I have another one describing the Son, and you do, in my opinion. Now, who tossed the... Hi, honey, you okay? Hey, thanks, honey, my love. Oh, she bought... Oh, thank you, honey, my love. Do you have for you? Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, sweetheart. She bought me some bread, some bready. By the way, Jesus said, "I'm the bread of life," in John chapter 6, verse 35. Now, what's bread in Hebrew? Laham? I think laham. Bethlehem is house of bread, right? There you go. Okay. Laham, Bethlehem means house of bread in Hebrew. You ever heard of Bethlehem, honey? Bethlehem? Bethlehem? Yeah, where Jesus was born? Okay, there you go. Okay, that's just it. Oh, you bought some ice or something? Oh, I thought that was ice you're putting in the water cooler. Okay, now her name is Risa, by the way, and when her name is spelled out with a rough breathing, it's actually Chri with a R with a H. Chriza it's in the Bible. Chriza, not Kri, honey. Chri with a H and a R. Chriza. It means root, like a plant, the root, like that. That's what it means. We'll get there when we get to ro. Don't say ro, say ro. Okay, understand? All right. Ro. The Greeks like the R very rough, like hr, like the R is ro. Say ro, han. Ah? No, don't say ro, say ro. My goodness gracious. I'll give you a 60 in the grade. 60, guys, even though she's my wife. So that's just the deal. We could get the grade up to 70. 70, okay, Hanullah? Yeah. So anyway, this is the KS in Greek, guys, kasi. Just practice kasi and then say it quickly, ksi. Say the K quickly, okay, like that, ksi. Okay? All right, and this is absolutely essential. This letter, okay, Omicron, pronounced Omicron in biblical Greek, but in modern Greek is pronounced Omicron. Okay, this is the O in Greek. Okay, the short O in biblical Greek, long O in modern Greek, which messed everything up, by the way, modern Greeks, okay, understand? Just don't mix the two pronunciations. Just keep with one, and you'll be okay. Unless you'll turn, and if you do that, if you mix the two, you'll turn tante on into tante on, genitive plural. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it will sound like that anyway. There's a safeguard in there, but anyways, still. So omicron is absolutely essential like epsilon because it can be also used as a connecting vowel like epsilon. So that could be used as a connecting vowel, okay, before these letters, okay, nu and mu. So the omicron can be before the mu and the nu, okay, you understand? So omicron can be a connecting vowel to a personal ending, okay, like men and like that. This could be used as an article also. Okay. Now I didn't mention this. This can, if it is taking a rough breathing marker, just pronounce it ha, like in the word hot. If it doesn't have a rough breathing marker, if it has a soft breathing marker, just pronounce it ah, like in like when you get up in the morning. Okay, is that? Now, in Hebrew, you do have sounds that is equal to this. The kamets is basically it's an A class, but it's equal to the sound ah, right? And then the kamets when it's an O class, it makes the sound also. So I mean, you have equal sounds to it. But this is an O class. This is one of the 7 or 8 vowels in Greek. In and of itself, it can be an article, okay, but in biblical Greek you'll have a rough breathing marker, and also it could be used for a relative pronoun, okay, a neuter relative pronoun, okay, like it or whatever the case may be, okay. So they'll have a accent marker along with it though, but that's just the deal. This can be used as an article, and when it's used as an article in the vocative, it can mean oh, like oh God. God the Father called Jesus, okay, God with special definiteness. So this symbol, this omicron can be used to form the vocative construction oh, like in oh God in Hebrews 1:8, and oh God in Hebrews 10:7, and in the Greek Septuagint. Has hateas as a vocative, a direct address when somebody's speaking to another person, 63 times. So this is very important to show special definiteness. Okay, special definiteness. So it's not just definiteness, but it's special definiteness. Now the witnesses, so-called Jehovah's Witnesses, are always witching, whining, and complaining that the theos doesn't have an omicron, even though manuscript L does have an article, I should say, okay, in front of it. So it has 18 Greek words and not 17 in that manuscript L, 9th century manuscript of John 1:1. You understand what I'm saying? It has that, so I can produce that, guys. Even though CSNTM is being very stingy these days, the Centers for the Studies of Greek, New Testament Greek manuscripts, and only wants certain people to see, that's not the heart of God. That's not the heart of the New Testament. It was written out in Koine Greek for everybody to see, not just certain people. Okay, nobody has a copyright on the Word of God. Okay, even if you took pictures of it, it's still not your word. They should believe, and they will believe through their word, the apostles' word. This is not your word. This is not my word. This is not the Centers for the New Testament Studies of the New Testament, CSNTM study, Center for the Studies of New Testament Greek manuscripts. It's not their word. They took pictures of manuscripts all over the world. But what good is it if only certain people can see it? And then they take, copies off of Google and stuff like that. What good is it? Okay, that's an anti-Christian attitude. What Dan Wallace is doing nowadays. Okay, great Greek scholar. But this idea that you can just, have a copyright on the Word of God that only certain people can see it, that's a little bit of a sort of Muslim approach that only certain people can see their manuscripts. It's getting to that level. And it should be, that attitude really should be not present in Christianity, that only a certain amount of people, a certain class of people can see the manuscripts. You understand what I mean? Not one organization had a copyright, okay, to the New Testament Greek manuscripts. Okay? Not one organization did. Now it's CSTM. going to be the only organization when these things disintegrate in the future that has a copyright to the Word of God, and only a certain amount of people can see it. That's a thing to be careful about. Getting back to Omicron, nowadays called Omicron, this could be a connecting vowel. This could be used for an article, okay, a definite article, masculine, singular, and nominative. This can be part of an article like ta, a neuter article. That's how Omicron can do that. And so that's just the deal. So this is a very important letter, okay, in Greek. Now this could be swallowed up by an upcoming letter, omega. Okay, remember I said that some letters can change and should be dropped off? Well, this is one of them. They'll be dropped off in the word for theos, and they'll become theo with an iota subscript, written underneath the omega. So Omicron is always in danger of being bumped off, okay, by omega. Okay, it's like Omicron is like a small fish being always in danger of being swallowed by another fish. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? By the Pac-Man letter omega in Greek. I call it the Pac-Man letter because it swallows everything in its path. Omicron nowadays called Omicron. Okay, that's just the deal. Well, let's go on to the next letter, P. This is P in Greek. It looks like a Greek structure, and it's meant to typify that, according to some circles. Okay, this is the P sounding letter. Okay, in Greek, and there is a P sounding letter in Hebrew, the Pe. The Pe could be either a PH letter, like in the word phone, or a P letter, like in the word put. But this is strictly a P in biblical and modern Greek. Wow. So biblical Greek and modern Greek does have something in common sometimes. Okay, that's just the deal. This is the first letter, P. Don't pronounce it pi, by the way. Okay? Pi, that's a mathematical equation, and the Greek letter P was pronounced pi in the famous Alfred Hitchcock film, great film by the way, Torn Curtain. Had to do with espionage, a missile system was trying to be stolen by the was stolen by the Americans from Russia behind the Iron Curtain. You understand what I'm saying? Torn Curtain. That's why it's called Torn Curtain. The Iron Curtain was torn down by an American spy, and this letter appeared on the ground several times, or whatever the case may be. Okay, and it was called pi in that film. Great film, but it's not supposed to be pronounced pi. Just pronounce it P. Okay, like the English P. So you'll see this in the word for Paul. Okay, in the name Paul, Paulus. You'll see it in the word for city. Okay, you'll see it in the word pros, those prepositions pros and pra, right? And you'll see it in Peter's name, Petros. You'll see it in the word Petra. Okay, different kind of rock, by the way. Upon rocks of this kind, okay, said Julius Armanti, that's a neuter plural there, I will build, okay, my church, said Jesus. Okay, so this is in the first letter for Petros, of Peter's name, and it's the first letter in the word for spirit, pneuma. And so this is always pronounced the P in Greek. The English words psalm or psalms and cycle, that's not pronounced, the P is not pronounced in that situation. But don't bring that over to Greek. The older biblical teachers never pronounce the P in pneuma. So that should be pronounced. Okay, pneuma. Okay? Which can mean wind also. Okay? Hon, you turning off the fan? Yeah. He's cold? Okay, is Anna sleeping, by the way, hon? No. Oh, she's not. Well, she was sleeping for a while, but All right, so this is P, and it could be reduplicated also, connected by the epsilon, which is connecting vowel. Okay, so you'll see it in the perfect tense. This letter being reduplicated exactly into a P, by the way. Okay. The upcoming letter, okay, not upcoming letter, but one of the upcoming letters, phi, okay, will reduplicate not into phi, actually, but into P, okay, into P. So when phi is reduplicated, it's going to reduplicate into a phi, but you're going to see P, at the beginning of the word. So it'll be P, epsilon, and phi. Okay, so just check that out in that kind of a word. Well, you'll see it in Pilate's name, Pontius Pilate. You'll see it in his name, this Greek P. That's the P, honey, in Greek right there, the P. That's the letter P. You see it there, and that's just the deal. So this is the P in Greek. Let's go to the, what's this letter, hon? What's this letter? What's this letter in Greek? What do you think?
P.
It looks like a P, but it's not. Take a guess.
R.
Oh, freca. Because you saw a row up there, you saw the name, right, hon? Yeah. Well, you know, there's anything that helps. This looks like a P, but it's not a P. Let me get rid of these things. It's not a P in Greek. Okay, we already saw the P. This is the P in Greek. Okay, this is the R in Greek called ro. Don't say ro. That's lazy for the Greeks. That's lazy. Say ro. Ro. Remember that funny story in Get Smart? In the show Get Smart, it was a secret agent show back in the 60s. And so Maxwell Smart, secret agent 86 and 99, her name wasn't known was not told in the show. Was not made known in the show. They were captured by this Chinese guy, and he worked for Chaos, the international crime syndicate, organization for evil, Chaos. So he was the Claw. Maxwell Smart, when he saw the Chinese guy, he said, "Oh, it's the Claw," and then the Claw said, "Don't say Claw, say Ha." Okay, so don't say Claw, say Ha. So don't pronounce this ro, say ro. Okay, very easy to do. If you played with a toy machine gun like I did, okay, when I was small, or doing a race car or motorcycle sound, it's very easy to do. Just put your tongue to the left side of your mouth and just say like that, So ro, this is the R. You're gonna see it in when it's capitalized. You're gonna see it for the first letter in the book of Romans. Okay, so this is very important in Greek. Just to look for Romans in the Bible. Incidentally, okay, it says he and the word for Romans. Okay, it doesn't say it doesn't say te. It doesn't have the article there. So that's not a Rome. That was the Rome. So you give that to the witnesses. Romans chapter 1 verse 7. It didn't have the article, just like NRK doesn't have the article yet. Okay, the word for Rome is definite, and the word for arche is definite. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the R in Greek. Actually, this is the only consonant, okay, that can have a rough breathing marker. Okay. So, just like in the word chriza, Jesus said, "I am the root," or the chriza of David, the root of David. In other words, the creator of David, if you will. He said, "I am the root and the offspring of David." Okay, so I am the chriza of David, spelled out with a rough breathing, the ro, chriza. Okay, that's just a deal. I think it's spelled out like ro with a rough breathing marker, iota, zeta, and alpha. I believe that's spelled like that, chriza. Okay. So this is ro. Now there is, look at the comma. Okay, there is an R in Hebrew, and that's the resh. Resh. It has to do with a head. Kephale in Greek, right? Something like that, right? So there is an R in Hebrew called resh, and you see it in the word reshit for the word beginning. Reshit. Or rosh, head. And that's just a deal. So this is the R in Greek. So when you're looking at something that looks like an H in Greek, it's not an H. A capital H is not an H. You're seeing something that looks like a capital P is not a P. So that's just the deal. This is the R in Greek. Let's go to the next letter, and that is, okay, the S in Greek, sigma. In and of itself, this letter means to synchronize, and it's a perfect meaning for the future transformative. The sigma in Greek is absolutely essential. It's one of the most important letters in Greek, along with epsilon, along with eta, along with iota, along with omicron. I mean, the sigma is vital to understand. It is pronounced like in Sam, okay? You see it in the first, you see it as the first letter in the word for Simon. I don't have final sigma here. I just try to cheat a little bit and give you a regular S, but you know, it looks a little bit like final sigma, but it's stretched out a little bit. So unfortunately, I could not get final sigma in here, okay? But I'll put an overlay in the future, and you're probably gonna look at it right about now. So that's the final sigma if you guys are seeing it in this video in the future. Now getting back to this, however, though, okay? She's okay, huh? Anna? Okay, that's Anna, our daughter. Anna Devane, by the way, from General Hospital. This deal. She's crying? Maybe she needs to go outside. Is your father there, hon? No? Oh, okay. Okay. So anyway, so sigma has various styles. So you have the capital sigmas to the left. The small sigma is to the right. The small sigma can go anywhere except for it cannot be the last letter of a word, even though I have it like that in some of my studies because I couldn't type out in Corel Video Studio, Browers Graffiti, Final Sigma. I just couldn't do it. There is another style of the sigma, according to the ancient authorities. It looks the sigma at that time looked like a capital C, like in the word car. Okay, so like if you see theta and that kind of a sigma, like a capital C looking letter, that's talking about God. Okay, and so the C looked like the sigma looked like a C, a capital C looking letter at that time, 4th century and stuff like that. Well, what can this do? Well, the sigma can be used in the aorist tense to point out, okay, a simple completed action. We already saw that the epsilon can be an augment and can point that out, like in the word agenita. We saw that word. But the sigma can be used for an aorist construction, pointing out the aorist tense. It's called aorist sigma. So the sigma can point that out. Or the sigma alpha can point that out. Sigma epsilon sometimes can point that out. Just like in the word stesetai, he will rise, or he will stand. Found and recorded in the Greek Septuagint, chapter 5 and verse 3. Okay, you see the sigma there being used, the second one being used right before the connecting vowel as a future tense formative. That's what you call it. A future. I'm talking about the aorist tense, so I'm sorry about that. I think I jumped. But the sigma can be used for the aorist tense to form the aorist tense, okay? Now this leads to the future tense. And in the future tense, okay, the sigma can be used as, like we use the word will, okay, with the verb. I will go to the supermarket. I will go to the supermarket. You add the helping word will there. In Greek, you could just add a sigma there, okay, and then you're forming the future tense, okay? I don't know what his complaint is, okay, is that what I'm saying? But the sigma can be used in the future tense also, not only the aorist tense, but the future tense. So we saw the perfect tense, the aorist tense, the future tense in the study, okay, formed by different letters, okay? You understand what I mean? Before I forget, let's get back to the N again. The N or the nu can be part of a participial construction. That'll be the nu and the tau together can form, okay, can be used as a participial morpheme. Okay, so that's very important. So if you're looking at a participle, okay, you might be looking at a N and a T or a nu and a tau together, and then a noun ending at the end. But the nu and the tau It's absolutely critical. Sometimes you see it in nouns, but if you're seeing it in a verb, then you're probably looking at the participial construction. You're probably looking at a participle. Getting back to this now. The sigma can also be used, okay, all right, as a to showcase the perfect tense. So not only is it used in forming an aorist tense, but sometimes it could form the perfect tense. Okay, and you see it in me verbs. So the sigma can be used to showcase the perfect tense, the aorist tense, and the future tense. Okay, so it's a very important letter in Greek. So this is a VIL letter in Greek. I call it like a VIP person, very important person. But this is a very important letter. Okay, VIL. Call it VIL letter in Greek. Okay. All right, so that's just the deal. And so let's go on. And I might have some other thoughts on sigma, which means to synchronize, by the way. So that's just the deal. Also, sigmas, you see it in second person personal pronouns like su, soy, se. You see it, sigmas heading up those words, meaning you, your, you, to you, and you. So, I mean, that's important there. Okay, so you see it in you see it in the Greek word soma, spelled out sigma, omega, mu, and alpha. It means body. You see it in the word sarx, which means flesh. So you just see it all over the place in the Bible, and it's a great letter. VIL letter. Well, you see the tau. This is the T. This is easy. Okay. And oh, by the way, getting back to sigma, there is an S in Hebrew, and that's the sin, sometimes called sin. Not sin like you sin, breaking God's laws. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the name of the Hebrew letters are Sheen and Sin, or Shin and Sin. Mr. Spock from Star Trek called those letters, Shin and Sin. So it's not a sin to call sin sin. So I don't know who is teaching that, but Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, in real life was a Jewish person, and he didn't call those letters Sheen and Sin. He called them as Shin and Sin. So that's just the deal. Now let's get back to this. Tau. This makes the t sound, and this can be reduplicated as well. Okay. So it'll be a straight out reduplication. Like in the word tetelestai. When Jesus died, before Jesus died on the cross, he said tetelestai, it is finished, meaning the work for us on the cross by him was finished, tetelestai, okay? And so that's in the perfect tense, it has been finished, actually stating something basically that Psalm 22 wrote, had as the last verse, that he has done this. Is the same thought. So this can reduplicate into another T. The T can reduplicate into another T exactly 100%. And it connected again by the connecting vowel epsilon, tetelestai. Okay, the debt has been paid in full. So I don't have to go door to door. If I go door to door to witness, it's not to obtain salvation, but it's because I'm saved already. Okay, you cannot buy God. You cannot say, well, Lord, here are my good works, so-called, so I need to go to heaven because I'm good. That's how you're going to go to hell, with an attitude like that. Okay, you go to heaven by the blood of Jesus and by his free gift, okay, provided on the cross, and by his justification work, as his justifying work according to the resurrection, and that is it. Believing in that, trusting in that, and calling upon the name of the Lord is the only way, okay, that you can get to heaven or have eternal life. But anyway, this makes the t sound, and in Hebrew you have two t's. The tav and the tet are two t's in two different t's in Hebrew. The tav and the tet. And this is very important because, again, you can see it in some participial constructions, and I already said that the nu, okay, the n, that'll be written first, together with the tau, okay, can be used as a participial morpheme to showcase the participial construction. But also, a tau and an omicron could do that for a participle. Tau is very important because it's the first letter in many articles. Okay? Basically, 20 out of 24 articles, I believe 20 out of 24 articles begin with a tau. So this T is a very important letter in Greek just because of the articles. Okay? Like ton, tain, ta. Okay? Ton, ton, ton. Tus, tas, ta. To, te, to. Tois, tais, tois. All of those articles begin with a tau. Ta with an omicron, ta with an alpha. I mean, all of those articles begin with the tau. Okay? The tau is called tough nowadays. Like, I'm tough, man. You know what I'm saying? Look at me. You know, so it's not called tau nowadays. In modern Greek, it's called tough. Okay? I mean, this is not the first letter in Thomas's name in Greek. It's actually this letter. Okay? Okay? Theta. Nowadays called theta. So it's actually Thoma. Takes a long time to scroll. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So, the T letter is absolutely essential. But it's one of those letters that gets dropped off in roots. Okay, I mean it doesn't last very long like the delta and stuff like that. It just gets dropped off. So so that's just the deal. So I mean this letter doesn't last sometimes. That's what I'm saying in Greek. Okay, the tau. Now again, I will have the meaning. Lord willing, we shall do this and that of all the letters, not only just some. I gave you some meanings. So you know the alpha means rising, the beta means basis. Gamma means like stem of the plant, like that, you know, and theta means divine. Sigma means to synchronize. Omega has another meaning. I'll give you the meaning of that. So I'll give you all the meanings like around part 5 or part 6 of the Greek alphabet. This is the first letter in Timothy's name. Okay, the tau. That's the capital tau, by the way. Okay, so this is you know, it reduplicates completely the same. Now this is the upsilon, you understand what I mean? And this is the U in Greek according to biblical Greek. But according to modern Greek, okay, this is an I class though. That's the problem, that they changed the U to an E, the A to an O, the I to an E, meaning the diphthong. I mean, they changed a lot of sounds. Okay, so they don't like the I and the A and the ah. They just don't like those sounds. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, this is the U class, okay, in biblical Greek. There is a U, okay, in U sound in biblical Hebrew, and that's the Yurek. Okay, you know, that's the Vav plus a dot to the left-hand side in the middle. That will be Yurek. That will be the U class. So when you're seeing a dot, one dot to the side of a Hebrew letter, you're looking at the U class. When you're seeing one dot underneath a consonant in biblical Hebrew, one dot underneath the consonant, you're looking at an I class. One dot above it to the left-hand side, you're looking at an O class. And that's just the deal. But this is the U class, like in the word kurios, transliterated into a Y. It could be transliterated to a Y, so be careful with that. But you see it in the word for Lord in the imperial sense, in the capital L sense of the deal. You understand what I'm saying? So I always chuckle when I remember, you know, when I remember the story found and recorded in Acts chapter 9, Praxis Apostolon, the Acts of the Apostles, and in the New World Translation of the Jehovah's Witnesses, this is after the Saul of Tarsus got blinded by Jesus. He was gonna get permission to persecute more Christians, to kill more Christians. He was walking on the road, and then he got stopped by Jesus from heaven and said, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? He just blinded Saul. Okay, he needed to be healed by Zacharias. You know what I'm saying? In the same chapter. And then in the Jehovah's Witness Bible, it says, "Who art thou, sir?" I mean, come on, man. You just got blinded by this being from heaven. And you're going to say, sir? Come on, man. Who art thou, Lord? Kurios, in the imperial sense. So this is the upsilon there. When epsilon and upsilon appear together, sometimes it makes a U sound. Okay? And then that's it. Now, the upsilon is very important in the word huparchon, subsisting, meaning that Logos was subsisting throughout all eternity as God, and also, since it's in the present tense, a present active participle. Philippians chapter 2, verse 6, okay? The Apostle Paul is writing, and at the same time, Jesus is still God and man. So that knocks away the theory that Jesus wasn't God by the tower and wasn't man. Okay, it kills two birds with one shot. Okay, huparchon is talking about the eternal, timeless, eternal subsistence of Logos, of Jesus. You understand what I mean? Huparchon is one of my favorite words in the Bible, and it is in the upsilon heads off that word. This could sound like who or oo. Okay, if it's a rough breathing accompanied with this letter, it looks like an open quote, it'll be who. If it's a soft breathing marker, like a close quote with this letter, it will be ooh. That's just the deal. Now in Hebrew, there is actually a who sounding word, who, which means he. The blind man said, Ani hu, I am he. I am the one that Jesus healed, in other words. You understand what I'm saying? But this is called upsilon, but nowadays in modern Greek it's called epsilon. This is a U class in biblical Greek, but in modern Greek it's an I class. Epsilon. Okay, so they changed it from a U class to an I class. Just like they changed eta from an E class to an I class also. So just they're in love with that sound E. So this is upsilon, though, a U class in biblical Greek. Now this is important because you see it. I mean, you see it in the word mu, which means my, my, first person pronoun, personal pronoun. You see it in su. You know that nominative and genitive form of the second person personal pronouns. Okay, from the singular part of the paradigm, su. You see it there. You just see it all over the place. You see it in third person pronouns like autos. You see it there. You even see it in hutas, which means that. Okay, so you see it there. So upsilon is very important. It's just all splattered all over the place. You see it in the word theou, in the genitive case construction, theou, like has en marfe theou huparchon. Okay, so you see upsilon a couple of times there in that has clause, relative pronoun clause. So yeah, the upsilon is very, very important. You see it in some of the constructions for Jesus, in the dative and genitive cases, Yesu. So you see it there. You see it in the word Christu, of Christ. You see it there. I mean, so you see it all over the place. Anthropou, of man, of the angel, angelou. I mean, so the upsilon is just absolutely essential to understand and to know. Upsilon. Nowadays it's called epsilon. Well, we get to the phi. We have two letters to go. This is the PH letter in Greek, like in the word phone. This is found in the word that means Philippians, okay, in Greek. That's this is the first letter in the word Philippians in Greek, okay, the PH letter. It's the PH letter like in the word phos or light, okay, in Greek. All right, and so that's it. So I mean, this is all over the place. This is found in the word Sophia, and in him was life, and the life was the light of men, false of men. Okay, you see it there. Now, like I said before, when this is reduplicated in the perfect tense, you're not going to see phi, epsilon, and fido. That's the problem. You're going to see this letter P right before the connecting vowel. Okay, so you see this letter plus the connecting vowel epsilon and, okay, wait for a second, guys. And then after that, you'll see the phi. Okay, that's just it. So they didn't like the PH sound and PH sound reduplicated exactly 100%. Okay? So it'll be the P standing in for the phi, and then the connecting vowel epsilon, and then a phi in the perfect tense in a word that has that going on. Okay? So this is the PH letter. There is a PH letter in Hebrew, and that's the pei. It's called pei, but the pei can be a P sounding letter or a PH sounding letter. Okay, so this is the PH letter in, okay, Biblical Greek and modern Greek. Sophia means wisdom, by the way. All right, so this is the PH letter in Greek called phi. Now let's go to the chi. This is the first letter, okay, in the word for Christ in Greek, Christos. Christos, okay, or Christos. So this is the CH guttural letter, okay, and there is an equal to this in Hebrew or the other way around. The chet does this, okay, the chet, like in the word chen, okay, in the Bible, and that means grace, okay. I will pour out the spirit of supplication and of grace. So grace is chen there in I think Zechariah. Is that Zechariah chapter 10? It's either Zechariah chapter 10 or chapter 12. I will pour out the spirit of supplication of prayers. Tachanunim. Tachanunim. Of supplications. Okay? So the Holy Spirit is a person because he prays in that verse. I will pour out the spirit of supplication and of grace. Okay, so that's just the deal. So anyway, getting back to this is a CH letter. Okay, don't say K. We have already a letter that's a K sounding letter. The, kappa. So don't pronounce chi into k like that. Okay, so when you're saying, okay, arche, do not pronounce it like arche. Okay, that's not pronounced arche. That's very lazy. Okay, say arche. Arche. Okay, don't say arche. That's very lazy for the Greeks. You understand what I'm saying? Me. Let's go on, guys. Okay. So this is the chi, the CH letter in Greek. Okay. Now, when this is reduplicated in the perfect tense, okay, it turns to, okay, kappa. Okay, kappa. We just saw the K. Okay, so, everybody knows what a K looks like, so I'm not going to go back because, you're going to say, please, Angelo, go ahead. Okay, finish. So this chi, when it's reduplicated, it won't be another chi exactly. It will reduplicate to another chi, but it will be written down as kappa, then epsilon, the connecting vowel, and then the chi. So when you see that going on, you're looking at the perfect tense. It's a dead giveaway, I call it, for the perfect tense, meaning consonantal reduplication with connected by a connecting vowel, epsilon. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So this is a word for Christ, okay, Christos, and a word for arche, okay. And so this is a very important letter in Greek because of Jesus' title, Christos. You're going to see it in all these constructions, okay? Christos, the nominative, Christou, the genitive and singular, okay? Christo, the dative form, and then Christan, the accusative construction. The nominative has to do with designation. The genitive has to do with description. The dative case has to do with interest, and the accusative case has to do with limitation as to extent, the extent of the hearing. The Acts of the Apostles, chapter 22, verse 9. Okay? They didn't understand the voice, correctly so, found in the NIV and in the NASB, by the way, correcting the King James. I love the King James. All right, so I love the NIV and NASB too. That's what I'm saying. Especially the NIV that has Jesus found more in its pages by a count of 1,241 to the King James is 971 by a count of 270 times. But all the Bibles are great. I love all of those Bibles. Chi is absolutely essential. Okay? CH letter. Okay? That's just a deal. Now, the cough can be a CH letter in Hebrew also. It has to, the cough can be a CH sounding letter. The cough, not cough, cough. Looks like an opposite side C. And then the chet, again, it looks like a hay or a towel, but that letter chet can be a CH sounding letter also. Let's get to this letter, psi. Very interesting letter. And in the future tense, this is absolutely essential in some situations to recognize. This is sounded off psi. Psi. It's a PS letter. Combinations of P and C. A combination of P and C. Okay, so you'll see it like in the word flips, pops, laps, lips, flaps. I don't know. Pipes. Can you think of some? Okay, help me out, guys. Okay, so that's just the deal. I could think of more, but every time you're doing tutorials, you stop at a certain point. Especially at my age of 57, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, this is a oops, if that's a word or an sort of expression, oops. So this is I probably could think of more, but time will fail me, says the Apostle Paul. Okay, is that what I'm saying? The writer in Hebrews. PS in Greek, the PS. Now, remember I said that the letter sigma, you understand what I'm saying? If I ever get to it, can point out the future tense. That's how you write the word will in a Greek sentence. Okay, you just add a sigma in the verb. But when the stem ends, in a consonant like P, like blep. Okay, blepo means I see, right? So if you want to put that in the future, like I will see, but you have the P there already, and you're saying, well, I need a sigma there. Well, then you're not gonna write it down like BLEP. S and whatever the case may be, omega, you're just gonna use the psi because it kills two birds with one stone. So why write out P in the S or P in the sigma? Just use psi. You have a letter like that already, so just use it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just the deal. So you're killing two birds with one stone by using this letter psi. You don't need to write out two letters. You just write this letter that has the two in it already. Now, incidentally, this letter, is the so-called weapon in the hands of the so-called God with a small g, Poseidon, the so-called God of the sea. Okay. Incidentally, all right. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, you have a genitive, word attached to hatheos. He's a limited God because of the genitive case construction. Remember, the genitive has to do with limitation also, but as to kind. Okay? We saw the accusative case being a limiting case also, but as to extent. So the thing is that if, you have hatheos there, but he's the God of this age. So there's a limiting, nature to that false God, the God of the age. He's a limited God. the Satan. He's a limited God, the God of this age. See how the genitive case is limiting what kind of a God that is, even though it's typed out or written out hatheos. Okay, there is no genitive limiting a Christ in that way. He's not the God of this and this and this. Okay, he's not the God of this and this and this. Okay, he's just straight out God, but he's the God man. Okay, so we have to preach in the church that he is the God man. He's not just God, and he's not just man. Okay, at the time of, or I hate to say this, the word, I hate to use the word time, but you know, before he became man, and you know, and we're looking through a window at the eternal subsistence of Logos and Theos. Okay, the intercommunion / relationship, the deep intimacy that they shared. You understand what I'm saying? There's no tema going on. No honor going on. No limiting. There's no limitations. There's no this. There's no that. It's just a love connection, if you will. You understand what I'm saying? A deep intimacy, deep as can be. So I mean, before that, he was only God. Before, meaning before the incarnation. Okay, so I mean, you know, if you call him a God, you're limiting him to a demigod, said Julius Armanti. And the witnesses will kiss Jesus' feet before they're sent to hell or to heaven. That's just all there is to it. They'll be forced on their knees, and they will bow down and worship Jesus just like they did in 1954 in their charter, before they deleted it in the 1960s and 90s altogether. Okay, so this is PC. This is the PS letter in Greek. And this is a letter that's a combination of two letters, like Xi and and Zeta, if you will. Okay, like that. So so this is just a deal. All right, now so this is critical to know for the future tense. Okay, so you might see that this in the construction for the future tense. Okay. All right, now so that's just a deal. So this, this is just a sort of an anchor-looking letter, and this is just that's just it. Psi, the PS letter in Greek. Well, we come to the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Okay, all right, and that's omega. Omega. That's the O, like it, Omega. Right, omega. That's my wife. She's saying omega. So this is the O, like in the word for home. This is the long O in biblical Greek, but in modern Greek, I mean, there's no distinction. So, along with the omicron, this is also the long O, a long O sound, and it's found in the title for God. He says, "I'm the Alpha and the Omega. I'm the beginning and the end," 3 times in the book of Revelation. Okay, so you see that, I think, in verse 8 of chapter 1. I believe verse 12 or so in chapter 22 of Revelation. And I think either chapter 21 or chapter 20, you see that there as well. So this was not the last letter in the Greek alphabet. Parakisma was. So parakisma was dropped off, and the Greek alphabet was left with this one being the last letter of the Greek alphabet. This has a numerical value of 800. Parakisma has a numerical value of 900. So this wasn't the last letter. But imagine God saying, "I'm the Alpha and the Parakisma, the beginning and the pregnancy." I mean, it just, I guess by the providence of God, it was dropped off. Okay, and Parakisma was, which looks like a P, by the way. It's just like tilted to the right hand side and has like a big wingspan or whatever. So this is the O in Greek. And this is the dangerous letter in Greek. I call this the Pac-Man letter in Greek because it swallows, things on the way. Okay? Also, this could be used for special force, like Old Timothy. It's not going to be special definiteness, but but special force was used, found and recorded in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20. The inflectional particle is used. And so, and the omega is used to form that. So when Paul says, "Oh Timothy," this is used for that. This is also critical in dative articles, singular articles like to, and you see it in genitive articles in the plural like ton, all across the board. Okay, so you see that there. You see it in relative pronoun constructions like ho. Okay. Uh, okay, so so you see it there. And you see it, and this is a very important letter because along with eta, it could showcase or form a subjunctive construction, and which is the true sign. The true signs of the subjunctive, okay, either omega or eta, okay, are omega and eta. I already gave them, guys. So this is absolutely essential to get to know because it could form a subjunctive, which is the mood or probability or possibility. Okay? So that's just it. You will only see this letter, okay, spelled out. Okay, you'll only see two letters spelled out in its entirety in the Greek New Testament, and that's this one, omega, and then alpha. Okay. Yeah. Along with this one, iota can be written underneath it. Okay, pointing out the dative case as my wife turns on the fan, ceiling fan, and scares me half to death. Okay, sad. So a little tiny I, iota, can subscript underneath this letter, eta and alpha. So this is omega, and that's just the deal. How can we know that Jesus is the alpha and the omega? All right. Well, verse 12 of chapter 1 of Revelation, it says that John turned around to see the voice. It's kind of strange to see the voice of the one speaking to him. Well, and the one speaking is in verse 8, and he says it's Jesus. In verse 12, you understand what I'm saying? And Jesus continues to talk in the chapter. And not only that, see verses 12, 13, and 20, where the Alpha and Omega is talking in verses 12 and 13, okay, in chapter 22, I should say, of Revelation. And he says, I am coming. And then in verse 20, it says, even so, come Lord Jesus. I mean, come on, Alpha and Omega is Jesus. That's not denying the Father, okay? The Father has to be glorified also, but the truth is the truth. They're co-equal and co-eternal with each other, okay? The distinctions have to do with person or personality. They all have a mind, okay? Romans chapter 8, verses 26 and 27 speaks about the Holy Spirit's mind. We have the mind of Christ, that's 1 Corinthians, right? And then, the Holy Spirit knows everything that's in the mind of the Father. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 9 and 10, I believe, right? They all have a will. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 4 talks about the Holy Spirit's will. You understand what I'm saying? And then in chapter 5 of John, it talks about the will of the Father and the Son. Okay? Verse 30. And also you see it in chapter 26 of Matthew and chapter 8 of Matthew. Of the will of Jesus in chapter 8, and the will of Jesus, okay, and the will of the Father in chapter 26. And you see it in many, many passages about their will. So in personality, as far as personality goes, they are distinct persons, but yet the same being. Well, guys, that's the alphabet. I want to thank you guys for checking out my studies here on YouTube in this channel, Angelo Kyky, KYKY, and Risa Quinones. I have other channels such as Angelo KYKY Quinones and then Angelo Rucci Quinones, that's RUCCI. That was my mother's maiden name. She went to be with the Lord in 2012. And so you have Angelo Kyky Quinones, KYKY, right? And then Angelo Rucci Quinones, that's RUCCI, and then this one. I'm not gonna be. This is my last study for this year, 2022. It's already September the 30th, 2022, and I'm gonna be doing some new studies, perhaps next year. And so this is the last study for this year. Anything that I get up, anything I upload on YouTube will be things that I already have on the phone on the 3rd of October, or even before that. So this is it. The Greek alphabet was my last study. I threw in a little bit Hebrew. I mentioned all the Greek letters, the meanings of some of them. Okay, alpha means rising, and beta means basis or foundation. Sigma means to synchronize. Omega, incidentally, means to emerge. Emerging means emerging, or something like that. And then theta means divine in and of itself. And I'll make another study of the Greek alphabet according to the meanings of each letter. And there are very important letters. I call them VILs in Greek. Very important letters. The epsilon, the eta, the iota, the omicron, the omega. Those are very important letters in Greek. Even the Psi letters. Okay. And all of them mean something, and all of them, the VILs do something very specific and point out various constructions and forms. So I hope you understood these lessons. I think that the Greek alphabet should be taught in this way. If you spill the beans right up front of what these letters can do, okay, how they behave, how they react to certain other letters and stuff like that, how certain letters can get dropped off and change into other letters or whatever the case may be, then you're sparing your audience or your students for being shocked or surprised and awed or amazed when they come to these lofty constructions in Greek. So anyway, guys, I just want to thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday to the chagrin of the witnesses. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? I don't celebrate anything now. And, as we think of the birth of Christ, think of it in a personal way, that it was for you that he was born, and it was for you that he died and rose again from the dead, bodily, by the way. This is my third channel, and I just really want to deeply thank you guys for just checking out these things. I don't know how God is going to use this channel in the future. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Sometimes I have one view on a video, and sometimes I have thousands of views. Like the Tetragrammaton study has 18,000 views. A mock debate that I took place in with one of my friends, Greg Constantante, so Jehovah's Witness, a mock debate has almost 9,000 views. And I have several videos that has 1,000 and 2,000 views. And some are not to that point yet, but I believe it's just being faithful to God. And let the chips fall where they may, and let him do what he will with my channel and videos. Well, guys, this is Angelo Quinones giving glory to the God of Israel. God is not the God of the dead, Nekron in Greek, or the Mut in Hebrew, of the dead, but of the living. And that means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were very much alive at the time that Jesus said those was. And they are alive right now as I speak to you. Well, please give me a thumbs up, and please give me a comment on the screen, and please subscribe to the channel and share the videos and share the channels to other people. Put them on Facebook, whatever the case may be. And while I'm gone, during my vacation from YouTube for a while and uploading, I will try to make this channel as best as to be the best that it can be. I will put things to help you guys find them. Like for example, when you type out John chapter 1 verse 1, exactly like that, you'll find studies on John 1:1 full Greek constructions. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little break, but I'll be seeing you guys, okay, Lord willing, next year at the same time and at the same channel. Okay, so take care, guys. Again, thank you so much for being here, and for supporting the ministry, I Am Ministries, my channel. And pray for me, pray for my safety, the safety of my children, Anna and Sean, the safety of my wife, Riza, and for my family in the United States and my family here, and that God will bless us in all our travels. Thank you.